What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking all about pediatric nursing. I have been asked a million times about peds and OB and I filmed OB and here we are with peds. So I'm going to talk to you guys all about the class, my tips and tricks, how I passed it, how I felt about it, what I learned, and what you can look forward to in pediatrics. If you are interested in that, make sure you tune in. Here we go. Alright guys, so just to tell you a little bit about myself, I am going into my 5th semester of nursing school. This past semester was my 4th. This is when I had OB, peds, and med-surg too, as well as a communications class. Lots to balance, lots going on, but pediatrics was a major, huge course to focus on. Lots and lots and lots and lots of content. So just to show you guys what my supplies looked like for peds, this is my pediatric binder. It is black, it is massive, pretty thick if you're looking at it next to my head. Lots of tabbies in there to kind of like mark where things were. So my pediatric class was once a week. We had clinicals once a week as well. For only 3 weeks, and then we had clinicals were really weird for peds. There was lots of different like offsite things, and I'll kind of explain that. But basically peds was once a week class lecture wise, and that was about 2 hours and some, maybe 2.5 hours or something like that. It was a really long time. Lots and lots of time to sit and get content, which was kind of a pain in the ass. But for pediatrics, how it would go is we would have, I think, 2 lectures and then an exam, 2 lectures and then an exam, 2 lectures and then an exam. Sometimes it was 3 lectures and then an exam, but most of the time I think it was 2. So the class was very content heavy. And when I say content heavy, I mean content heavy. I mean these slides, which I'm going to kind of give you guys an example, were just loaded with information, and then we had to sit through lecture and they would kind of go through and keep doing it to us, and we'd have to add more information. So just for an example, this one was communication, history, and physical exam of a child. So I will show you guys just kind of what the slides looked like. So there's a slide, there's all this information in small writing. And then same with here, all of this information, and it was important things that we needed to know. So you're sitting there in lecture and you had to like listen to them point something out, and you're like, oh my god, like I need to highlight that, and then you're also trying to like write on the side what's going on. And they brought that up to us in the beginning, you know, they're like, instead of sitting here and making you guys write all of this, we gave it to you guys, but we want you guys to write your additional notes or whatever and like highlight what you need to know so that you're not like scrambling to write everything, which was very considerate of them, because I absolutely hate writing shitloads in class because I feel like that's not benefiting me at all. I'm just trying to get everything you're saying down. So they did that. But it was just lots of information, and what I found the most frustrating about this class was trying to study for all of it at once, and that is the epitome of nursing school. You're not going to get away from it. It's a fact. They can't teach you everything you need to know in 4 months or whatever semester is. Like, they're going to have to cram you a little bit, and you're going to have to study a little bit harder than you probably wanted to. So very content heavy. I felt very nervous for these exams going in, but actually turned out that pediatrics was my best class. I got the best score in peds, and I think it's because thinking of like, I was so scared of these teachers going in. Like, I was nervous. I'd heard that it was a really scary class and that it was really heavy and hard, so I kind of studied really hard for the first exam, and then kind of realized that I did really well, and I was like, okay, well, I can study a little differently. To give you guys examples of how I studied, I say this in almost every nursing video that I make, is my way of studying is writing all of my notes back out. And that's different for everybody. Everybody studies differently, but that is how I get it in my brain. I remember when I'm sitting in a test, I can see my finger typing it back out. I can write it back out while I'm taking an exam, and that's kind of what helps me the most. So that is really how I studied for peds, as well as doing lots of practice questions on Quizlet. There were a lot of similar questions to the exams on Quizlet, which if you just type in, you know, I'm not going to give you guys the Quizlets, I don't know what they are, I just looked them up as I went, but you know, like middle-aged child Quizlet, nursing school, like you'll find Quizlets that are very close to exams, and it's just kind of easier to think of it more in like a child setting versus a med-surg setting. So I did find that questions for this class helped me. Also, this is my ATI Nursing Care of Children book, and I also found this super helpful. I never really looked in my book that much for peds. I really just kind of looked through my notes because my teachers were very stick to the notes kind of people. They pulled things right off their slides. They would have things highlighted. If it was highlighted, it was going to be on the test. If it was bolded, it was going to be on the test. So they weren't like completely terrifying to us. Like, I mean, they were really nice because it is a lot of information to study when you're talking about children and all these different age groups. There's so many different milestones and things, so really making sure that you're paying attention to your notes. Back to the UTI book, I really found this helpful. I liked reading and kind of seeing what they had to say. It gave you a few practice questions, which was good enough for me. I didn't want a ton of practice questions from ATI because ATI pisses me off sometimes because their questions can be wrong. But I did look through this to kind of just get some extra help and just kind of refresh my memory with what was going on. As for tips for peds, I found that knowing and memorizing the milestones for children was the biggest help for me. Once you memorize, you know, what a kid's gonna do at 6 months, 8 months, 12 months, you know, their checkups, their medications, everything is going to make more sense to you and you're gonna be able to narrow down answers on a test. Medications is huge. Knowing the childhood medication schedule, huge. You might as well just memorize that right now. You need to know that because you're going to get questions on your exams, your lecture exams. You're going to get questions in clinical on that. You're going to need to know those things when you're in clinical because, like, if you're a nurse, you're going to need to know, like, when a kid's going to need to have their, you know, like, their hepatitis shot versus their flu. Like, you just need to know those things. So really memorizing that, the milestones. Knowing how to deal with parents was also huge in this clinical, which is a totally different ball game when you're dealing with parents of adolescents slash child slash toddler slash whatever versus being in, you know, med-surg nursing where you're dealing with a lot of like middle-aged people or, you know, people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever. Older people, it's a lot different when you have a parent sitting here and, you know, they're in charge of the child. So thinking about nursing care in a different way was really, really cool and a really nice challenge for me. I liked it. Another thing that's huge in pediatrics is the different theorists. And when I talk theorists, I'm talking like Piaget, Erickson, Freud, Freud, Piaget, Erickson, Kohlberg. Knowing those stages for children is huge. Memorize those as well. So medications, milestones, and theorists are going to help you so much in pediatrics. You guys, I'm telling you, get them memorized now and you will thank me later. As for exams, I did, like I said earlier, I did really well in the first one and I kind of just followed how I studied for that one for the rest of them and just continued to do well. There was a lot of questions, you know, lots of things you need to know, but in the end it all comes down to studying. There's no secret. There really isn't anything you can do besides religiously studying your notes, however, is going to help you, and memorizing those things I said. Like making sure you know the core things and then studying the more in-depth things is what helps you the most in nursing school, in my opinion. That's where I have found success, is going back to the basics. You know, knowing the anatomy is going to help you huge because all you're going to do is think of it in a different way with peds. You know, it's a child, it's not an adult, so you're not going to be able to give them, you know, 600 milligrams of Tylenol or ibuprofen or whatever. Like, you can't even give those things at certain times. Just to talk to you guys a little bit about the clinical experience in pediatrics, it was tons and tons and tons of different clinical experiences. So we have a children's hospital here in Iowa, which is called Blanks. We got to spend a weekend there. We had 3 clinicals on the pediatric floor at our local hospital here. And we also did things like going to, you know, pediatric outpatient clinics, going to different settings where kids can get help. School setting, we went to like a school setting for just to kind of understand like healthcare in the school setting, kind of different, lots of different settings that we went to. But overall, it was great to get all of the experience. I really enjoyed pediatrics. I would definitely take a job if I was offered one, but it would not be the first thing that I would pick. I have a really big heart for other areas in nursing, like more critical care things, and the child aspect is something that I could totally do if I threw my whole heart into it, but if I could pick, I would pick something else before it. But really enjoyed the class, really enjoyed knowing and learning all these different things to help me in the future if I were to work in the ER, you know, ICU, like getting anything critical. It's just awesome to know the child side of things because it's a totally different ball game and there's so many different things to know, guys. Seriously, always know. But anyways, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something, or maybe you just heard what peds is going to be like. I really do think it's a great class, and I think that you will do amazing in it if you study your ass off. You know, be confident, do the study method that works for you, and keep going. Don't give up. It's always going to be content heavy. It's always going to be hard. Keep that in mind. But there's all of these girls out here doing it with you. Guys too, you know, we're all in this together, and nursing school is totally doable, and I believe in you. So thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.